So, as a lot of you know, prior to my transition and everything, I was in a very toxic relationship with my son's father. I know you're probably like, what the hell? Like, you look like somebody I'd have a restraining order on. And touche, I always joke that my pre-transition self and me now, we look like a couple that has a restraining order. But this video is a serious video. Because of all this, from time to time, I like to do videos on DV awareness. And because of that, just know that this video will include some sensitive topics. 10.5 years ago, I was attacked so brutally by my son's father in a drugstore parking lot that I was unconscious for half of it. I don't even remember. The only reason I know what happened is because a good Samaritan, bless their soul, went to the police station and filed the police report. And what did I do? I not only refused to press any charges, but I went right back to my abuser. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh my God, that's dumb as hell. Women that do that, they put themselves in that position. And I see from the outside in why people would think that way without any inside knowledge, but it does reflect that you have no experience with the abuse cycle and how scary it truly can be. That wasn't the only time I went back. I probably went back about 10 times or more. The two main reasons why it was so hard for me to leave were fear and guilt. Yes, guilt. I know that sounds nuts. I was the one being attacked on a regular basis, and yet I felt guilty all the time. Because they are so good at manipulating the way you think that you literally believe not only that you deserve that treatment, but somehow you should feel sorry. I remember after one attack when my son was a newborn, I made the decision I'm going to leave. Since I was attacked, I called the cops, they came. Now, just to paint you this situation, you have a mother and a father who had recently pled guilty to assaulting me. At that point, I believe I was his fourth or fifth victim. Once he passed away, I think he had 7 victims total. But I had to leave the premises without my son. And the reason for that is because my son was a newborn. Nobody technically had custody because he was a newborn. But at the pediatrician, I wrote down that his address was his dad's house because that's where we lived. And because of that, it was considered his primary residence, so I had to leave without my son. There were other times I was going to report what was going on, and he would tell me, hey, I have 5 family members here. You're just one person. Who do you think they're going to believe when they're on my side? And he's right. If law enforcement comes and 5 people are saying this person hit this person and you're like, no, I was attacked, they're going to believe the majority. One time I got on a recording in detail him telling me how he was going to me, but you can't use it. That's wiretapping. So if you're catching my drift, it's not so easy to just leave. But finally I did, and I can't lie, every day I was terrified. He knew where I lived. I literally was in fear every single day. I actually remember, I'm not a super, religious person, but I remember laying in bed. I remember feeling just warmth come across my body, and I know this is gonna make me sound crazy, but I heard a whisper that said, it's gonna be okay. Fortunately, it wasn't him. But I that just made me know that it was gonna be okay, and it reassured me a little bit, and fortunately, we were okay. People like that, surprisingly, are really charismatic with law enforcement or authority in general, which is so funny because they despise it. But that's why it's not so easy to just leave. Because it's terrifying, it is dangerous, it's been proven to be dangerous, and they manipulate you into, like I said, thinking that you deserve to feel guilty. This is your fault. It's your fault you're treated this way. You deserve this. I always say that the day I became a mother was not when I gave birth. It was when I left my son's father. Because I was finally putting my son first no matter how terrified I was. I came to the conclusion that if I stayed in the situation with my son, we were gonna end up severely harmed or not alive. And if I left, that might happen too. But there was a small chance it wouldn't happen. And I needed to get the strength to just take that small chance. So what I started to do, and I recommend this, I'm not a professional, obviously, or anything, but this is what I did. I started moving important documents back to my family home. I would just tell them, oh, I'm just making, space because we got a new baby and everything. And I'm definitely not suggesting this, but this is what I did. A while back, he had me write a letter saying that he had never put his hands on me or anything, and he did this so he could have leverage over me in court. So one day, during an argument, he was reading it loudly to kind of belittle me, you can't leave, look what I have. And I knew that if I took that from him, he was gonna lose it. And I did, and he lost it. And he attacked me again. And the cops came, and this time I was out of there. I left for good. During this attack, he knew he was likely going to get locked up again, so he just fled the scene, so it allowed me to at least leave with my son. Another thing people say is how can I support a loved one that's in that situation? Don't cut contact with them. Keep communication open. I know when they tell you that they went back, you just want to be like, what the You want to cut contact because you feel like you're enabling that behavior. But that's what the abuser wants. They want their victim secluded. In fact, sometimes they'll do it on their own. Not only will they keep tabs on their victim and control them by like not letting them talk to certain people, but they'll turn their loved ones against them. They'll blackmail, well, what if I show them this? What if I tell them that you said this, huh? I have proof of this. They want you to turn against their victim. That's what they want. You can let it be known that you're concerned and you don't support the situation, obviously, but always let them know that you're there and that if they want to find a way out, you support them in that.